Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kai, and I do a lot of lifestyle videos, but ever so often I like to throw in a little kind of commentary deep dive. A lot of it's just like my opinion on TV shows that I like. I did this a lot back in 2020 because all we can do in 2020 was watch TV. But I actually really love those videos, and I did some on K-dramas, I did some on the OC, which was my favorite show growing up, which I should have not been watching that show as a child. But I love that show. I love doing those videos. I thought they were super fun. And I thought it would be fun to do a video on The Summer Turned Pretty. So I actually read the whole book series in like a week and a half. Here I've been on a very good reading flow. I don't know how to explain it. I've been reading a lot for sure this year. So I picked this up at Target, as you can see, by that 20% off discount sticker, and I was like, you know what, let's go through it. And I read this book in like a day and a half. I just enjoyed it. I'm definitely the kind of person that romanticizes summer, so I was like, this is literally a story for me. I just had so much fun with it, and obviously the first season at this point was already out on Amazon, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch that show, see how it is, and all of that stuff. So I thought it would be fun to kind of go through the story with you guys, compare the book and the show. By the time I'm recording this, the second season will be out in a few weeks, and the trailers have been out, stills have been out, so I'm gonna give you guys also my thoughts and predictions for what I think will happen, just because I know that they change a lot of things, which I will talk about because I feel like that's something that I wanted to share. And yeah, I just want to go ahead and talk about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you're here, it's probably because you also want to talk about the show. So yeah. Also, before we get started, this will have a lot of spoilers because I want to talk about this with spoilers. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about that happened during the first season, that happened in the book, and all of that stuff. I will talk a little bit more about the second and third book and what I think about the second season. So proceed with caution. I will just be talking literally about what happened. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm not the kind of person that gets annoyed when things change from a book adaptation to a TV or a movie. I feel like I know nothing will ever translate 100%. The best analogy I can think about it is when you think about a pretty outfit in your head, and then when you try it on for reals, it just doesn't look good. I feel like that's what we should think about when it comes to book to TV or movie adaptations. Even if you think it might work, sometimes it just doesn't work. A lot of times books are written in the first person, and following just one person's point of view within a movie or show can get a little boring. That's why they try to bring in new characters and new storylines. So yeah, I'm just that kind of person. I just kind of take it easy and go with the flow. However, that does not mean that I don't think some things just don't make sense or don't work, which I will get to with this story too. But I actually still enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. I love the book. I love the first book. I love the first season. That was really cute. So I don't have too much negative things to say, but I just wanted to bring that up. So yeah, let's get into it for real. So The Summer I Turned Pretty follows Belly. Her mom, and her brother, they go to Cousin's Beach every summer, basically to hang out with Savannah and her. Side note, I accidentally say Savannah instead of Susanna for a majority of the video. I eventually realized my mistake, but for half of this video, I will say Savannah instead of Susanna. So that's on me, my bad. Her kids, which is her mom's best friend, they spend every summer there. Savannah has 2 kids named Conrad and Jeremiah, and basically Belly's in love with Conrad since forever. They grew up together. She just has that connection with him, and basically this book is her kind of going through her own growth experience. She feels she's changed. As the book says, it's the summer she turned pretty, but it's her kind of coming to terms with herself and getting a little more confident and just following her around for the summer, her love, and all of that stuff. For the book itself, it's actually a very short read, the first book. And again, I thought it was just a super cute and fun read. I was literally at a coffee shop reading it, and it was just the best day ever. I was enjoying it. The book is actually pretty easy to read. Literally perfect summer vibes. I romanticize summer, so again, this is right up my alley. It was just such a fun read. Once I started reading it, the show was actually already out, so I was able to watch the show all at once, if that makes sense. I wasn't waiting for an episode to drop. It's been out. I actually started watching the show I was halfway through the book, because I was you know what, I just want to see what happens. Like I said, I'm not too picky with changes. I will say there's some things that the show got wrong and some things that the show got right. So let's get into that. Also, I just want to say too that Jenny Han, I feel I saw her post this somewhere, and I just cannot find the post. I was trying to find the post before I started recording this video, but I believe she had said that she made changes to the story in the TV show because she's like a showrunner, so she's still involved heavily with the show. Some of the changes do make sense. Again, I will talk about some of the things that I do enjoy, the things that she changed, and I honestly agree with her. Like I said, the first book was such a cute, fun read. It was a quick read, but I do feel like it was a little bit short. And I feel like for the sense of a TV show, like it needed to get expanded on. I will say now, I was going to mention it towards the end when I talk about like my thoughts on season 2, but the second book was okay. Like I didn't hate it. The second book, I think, heavily relies on like flashbacks. So I feel like that's also why it needed to be changed. Even the trailer shows a lot of them in the summer. So again, I'll talk about that later. But third book was my least favorite. I just feel like everybody was wilding out in that book and it just seems so like out of character for everyone. Like the only person I was cheering for was Laurel at that point. Again, I'll get to that later, but I wanted to start first with the controversial stuff, the stuff that I did not like about the TV show. Also, again, another disclaimer, I actually think all the actors did very well. Like if I'm talking about a character, I'm not talking about the actor. I think all the actors did so well. And so whenever I say something, it's not about the actors. Like it's just about how the character was written for the TV show compared to the book, if that makes sense. So yeah, one of the main things, and I feel like maybe this could be a controversial take, but I definitely feel like I needed more of Conrad and Belly together. Obviously you have that tension between them throughout this like the show. Like they have moments, like obviously Conrad was going through something through the first book and in the series, like we know that like he's kind of like struggling, so they kind of have him do his thing, they have Belly do his thing, they have moments where they do come together and like they kind of like play off of that. But I feel like I kind of needed more of the build up. Again, comparing it to the book, I feel like they have a lot of these moments together, because actually this is my second point, which I feel like I might just bring it in for the things I didn't like, is that I wasn't too keen on Steven staying for the whole summer. Again, I like the actor who played the character. I think he played it well and he was like really fun. In the book, Steven leaves for like he's only there for like half of the summer and then he leaves with his dad to go look at colleges. And I understand why they kept him for the TV show's sake, because it adds another element of character. It gives us more perspectives to like look at that makes the show fuller and more entertaining to watch. So I get that aspect, but at the same time I feel like we get less of like Conrad and Belly because Steven is trying to be like that supportive character for her and like kind of keeping her in check. I think one of the things that I think stood out to me was the beach confrontation that actually happens in the first episode. That kind of scenario happens kind of later on in the book, and it's between Conrad and Belly. So basically, if you guys remember, if you guys saw the show, Belly shows up at a beach party and Steven's like, what the heck, what are you doing here? And he kind of like tries to take her home and like she's like, no, like I can do my own thing. That kind of happens in the book, but later on, once that Steven is gone, and it happens, obviously Conrad's the one that's like, Belly, like no, like you should go home, blah blah blah, and she's like, no, like why do you care? And I feel like I kind of would have preferred that scene better, because it kind of adds to her being like, why do you act like you care, but then you're like standoffish and sometimes you just like ignore her. I feel like that would have added a little bit more to like their storyline and like understanding like what they're up to, you know. I feel like that would have been a lot more helpful in that sense. So yeah, there's just like little things like that I feel like I would have preferred. I feel like I needed more of Conrad and Belly. And then also, actually I might add that too, I also needed more of Jeremiah and Belly, because they're described as like best friends. In the book, they're doing everything together. And again, like I feel like I had these points separately, but I feel like it all kind of goes together, because we had Jeremiah with Steven a lot, because again, they're like friends and like they're hanging out, but like I feel like it kind of takes away from Belly, you know, because Jeremiah, she describes him as his best friend. And obviously, if you guys know the story, basically Jeremiah and Conrad, again, spoilers, Jeremiah and Conrad end up fighting over Belly. And I feel like I kind of, again, needed more of Jeremiah and Belly together, like showing their friendship, showing why they're so close. I believe it's the 4th of July. It's definitely in the later season where Belly and Conrad have this moment, and it is during the 4th of July because it's when Jeremiah throws a firework at them. I don't know, for me, I watched the show twice. Like, I watched that first season twice, and I just feel like I didn't get the sense of like, oh, he really cares about her. Like, it was just like a weird, okay, he's interested in her now, I guess. Like, I know that they were like super cool, like friends. Like, we had that cute scene in the first episode where they're like just talking it up, heading to the beach and all that stuff. But we never have them really just hanging out that constantly. Like, he's always just doing his own thing. So I would have preferred to have a little bit more moments with them together. More romantic moments, I want to say. Because I feel like, again, all of their moments felt very like, we're just friends. And like, since we're in close proximity, that's why we're friends. Because I know in the book, it's a lot more clear when Jeremiah sings like karaoke song when she's on her date with Cameron, that he's doing it like in a weird jealous way. I know that like they do have that scene in the show, but I feel like it's not done so clearly that you kind of understand that like he's trying to like make fun of it. So yeah, I just needed more of that. I needed more of her and Conrad. Yeah, like I feel like Steven was great. I feel like obviously having him was really fun, but it would have added a little bit more tension with just the three of them, especially like they're living in a house together. They're the only ones kind of that truly know her around town and kind of have a watchful eye over her. So yeah. Also, another thing that I thought was like interesting was just like the whole 4th of July episode. I feel like I was okay with the way they changed it for the TV show, because I feel like I really didn't care for like the way it played out in the book. But I feel like the addition of the dad's storyline in this way was just really weird for me. I kind of feel like I needed the dad's storyline to be the same as in the book, because I believe, if I remember correctly, they're all separated in the book. Like all of them, like both set of parents are all separated. They're kind of all doing their own thing, which actually adds another element to why Conrad's so mad at his dad and quit football and all that stuff, was because of his dad. So I feel like it was just a weird, I don't know, like I just didn't really like how that played out in the show. Like I just thought it was kind of weird. Like I feel like I really wanted, again, that more like standoffish vibe. Like I know that they also wanted to have like more tension between like Savannah and Laurel, because obviously in the book we don't have much of them, because again, it's told by Belly's perspective. Everything's like what she's experiencing. She doesn't know what the adults are doing. So I know that they wanted to have more elements to them, but it just felt like so weird. The book, and even they mentioned in the first episode, the summer house was just always like the mom and the kids thing. Like it was always their thing. Like the parents were kind of out and about, and I know that they brought them in to just cause like drama, have more elements of drama, but I just didn't really like how they did that, you know? Like I just felt like they could have fleshed out the story a little bit better. It made no sense for like Conrad's dad to actually go to the party. I feel like I could understand Belly's dad going, but still, like, it just wasn't my favorite way to do that. I feel like there's also, like, just minor things that I was just like, Again, from my perspective, the way I took it from the book, and even how they describe Conrad sometimes in the show itself, Conrad's always the one that's gonna do, like, the right thing. Like, if his mom or even Laurel ask him for something, like, he's gonna do it. Something that I found really weird, and again, it's just like a minor thing, was like when he's like super against cotillions and stuff. Like I can see it from Jeremiah, because again, like they describe him as like a person that's just like against that. So like it was kind of weird that they also made Conrad be like, cotillions are dumb. I get why they had that, so later on we would have that payoff with the scene of Belly seeing him with Nicole and them explaining that he was her escort for the cotillion, and then Belly being like, what the heck, you told me they were dumb. So I get that they needed that scene to like bridge that together and have her meet Nicole in that way. I get that. I felt like it was a little out of character for Conrad to be that way. Like I get that he was in his already moody, brooding type of vibe. Like, you know, Conrad's always gonna do the right thing, if that makes sense. Jeremiah was already kind of the like, I'm gonna do my own thing, I'm gonna do what society tells me type of guy. So I don't know, like we already had one of the guys saying it, we didn't need both of them saying it, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just like didn't think it was necessary for Conrad's character to say that. Again, it was just one of those things that they just solely added for like payoff later on in the episode, you know? It was just a way for her to meet Nicole and like have, again, more tension there. But yeah, seemed a little out of character, I guess. I don't know. That's just how I thought about it. So now let's talk about the things the show got right. Again, I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was really good. Surprisingly, even though I talked about already things that like I thought they shouldn't have done, I actually thought they kept the storyline of the book pretty close to what it was. If you guys haven't read the book, I highly recommend it, because throughout the show they have scenes that happen in the book, and it might not be in order, but they'll still have it, and I feel like I definitely appreciated that. Obviously it was fleshed out a little bit different, like the beach scene where it's Steven instead of Conrad, but they have like certain scenes that happened in the book, and it kind of kept the storyline together. I really appreciated that. For example, again, spoilers, Steven and Taylor have a whole little thing in the book, and it obviously plays off again in the TV show, and it doesn't happen exactly the same way, but it still happens. And I feel like, again, I appreciated that because it's still keeping the same storyline that's in the book, but it's a little different. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. Basically, it still follows the book kind of accurately, even though it's showing it in its own way, or maybe not in the same order. But I really appreciate that. Again, I was reading the book as I was watching the show, so like I would get to certain scenes and I was like, hold on, like that should have happened now. When it would happen in a different episode, I was like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I just thought it was cool, so like it was in a completely different show, you know. Something I actually enjoyed was the addition of the cotillion. The cotillion does not happen in the book, and one of the reasons I actually added it to the things they got right was that it was a really easy way to introduce all the new characters and have them actually make sense to like why they know Belly. For example, I'm gonna use another of Jenny Han's stories, To All the Boys I Loved Before. That's a great example of like they're all in high school, so like all these characters make sense that they know each other because they all go to the same school. However, with The Summer I Turned Pretty, Belly's like an outsider because she comes in every summer and that's it. She doesn't really live there. She really wouldn't know the people. Again, she was kind of hanging out with her mom every summer. Before that, this was like her first summer going out and meeting people. So it made sense having the cotillion to be throughout the season. It made sense for all of them to be together at once in different scenarios, actually have them be friends and not just be like super random. So I thought it was a really good addition. It actually brought together a lot of things, so it wasn't just happening at random. For example, the fight towards the end of the book, which happens at the end of the season between Jeremiah and Conrad, it just kind of happens at the beach house in the book. Again, it helps bring it together, so it's at the cotillion, just like a build-up kind of thing. I think it just helps to like keep the stories in track, if that makes sense, from like a screenwriter perspective, which I'm not a screenwriter. I felt like that's actually a good addition to keep like the story and the characters together. And with that, I actually enjoyed the new characters. I actually thought I wouldn't, but I actually did. I feel like it made sense having more characters to make the show fuller, have more perspectives. Like I said, the book itself is just all Belly's perspective. So we're only in the book seeing exactly what she's seeing, nothing else. We don't know what other characters are doing. We're just seeing what she's seeing. So having new characters helps to have like different scenes, different dynamics, and all of that stuff. It just gives it more of a fuller feeling. One of the things I actually really liked was having the writer guy. I forgot his name. But I enjoyed that he was there to have that scene specifically with Conrad when Conrad's having his panic attack. At that point, there was no one really Conrad could have talked to. So I feel like it was a good way to have him be understood, at least for like at that point of the season. Like it was nice to have that character kind of be that ear for him kind of verbalize what he's feeling. I really like that. Obviously, Nicole's character was more fleshed out. Shayla was a new character for Steven. Obviously, the cotillion itself had like a lot of other players in it. So it just gives it like a more fuller feeling that we're not just watching them just go from like the house to the beach and she's only talking to Conrad, you know? So I enjoyed the new characters. Again, I thought I wasn't going to, but I did. Something that I was like mulling over was the fact that they added Taylor to more of the series. Taylor only appears in the book a few times, like in flashbacks. She does go visit Belly, I do believe, but like it's very minimal. We obviously have that thing with her liking Steven and stuff, so like it's still very minimal in the book. So obviously it's fleshed out a lot more in the series. I was going back and forth with it because again I was reading the book and I was like, she wasn't in this, why is she there? But in the same way, like thinking about it, I feel like they had to add more of her so it can make sense for Belly to have someone to talk to. Because again, in a book, you're reading her thoughts, but in the series, we're not reading her thoughts. We're just seeing her go through things. And it's an easy way for her to talk through her feelings if we have Taylor there. Because again, it's her best friend. It makes sense that she will talk about some things with her. So it makes sense. It makes sense why they expanded her character in the show. And something else that I absolutely loved, I actually talk about this in my OC video, which if you guys want to go check it out, I love that video. But I just love the addition of music to the show. I feel like that adds, again, another element of storytelling to the show where we see like the music helping tell the story. Again, with the OC, music was such a big part of that show and what made it so good. Having those key moments with like the right song just gets you. The moment where she sees Conrad a cotillion and realizes he's gonna be her escort and there's a Taylor Swift song playing was just the cutest thing in the world. It was just perfect. I feel like they did music so well with the storyline, and I feel like it just helped give it more of that cutesy vibe and just bring it all together. So I really like that. Finally, let's talk about season 2. Up until this point, there's only been a trailer, there's been stills. Obviously, it's gonna be a little bit different from the book, and I am okay with that. Like I said, the second book was okay. However, if you guys haven't read the second book is told heavily, at least in my opinion, it's so heavily through flashbacks, and I feel like in a TV show that really wouldn't work out well. I feel like it's set in like between 2 weeks or like a few weeks within the summer, and just flashing back and telling the story as what happened before to kind of get to where they're at. So I feel like it makes sense why they would have changes. Obviously it's gonna be very, very different. Everyone's back. Steven's back, Taylor's back, there's new characters, so it's already gonna be different. It's gonna definitely be set in the current summer, I believe, and just having them deal with the aftermath. I'm gonna say something controversial. I feel like Savannah's fate has to be the same. Also, I just realized I've been calling her Savannah. Her name's Susanna. I'm so dumb. I literally just looked it up. Susanna. I've been meaning to say Susanna, okay? I do think her fate should still be the same in the TV show, and the only reason I say that is because, again, that's a whole catalyst to Conrad falling out with Belly. The whole series of books and the storyline with him and Belly kind of relies on him not really dealing with his feelings, and his mom's a big part of that. I kind of feel like they should still keep that. Again, they changed the ending for her in the series in the first season to be like a little more hopeful that she's gonna take a chance, whereas the book she was like, no, like, this is it, you know? So I kind of want to see it be the same way, because again, it would just make more sense to the storyline. It will make sense more to Conrad's character and the way he acts. It would just be the easiest way for them to do that. Other than that, I don't know what to expect. Again, Jenny Han had said that there was going to be changes, and I'm okay with that. Again, like, I just didn't feel like the second book itself would have stood well alone as like a season, if that makes sense. So I feel like it did need a lot of changes. From the looks of it, again, it's going to focus a lot on them being there for the summer and cousins, because in the book they really don't spend that much time there. We have some moments, we have flashbacks to them there. They do go to the house in present time for like a bit, but it's not like a flushed out they're there the whole summer type of deal. I feel like they needed to change that, so I feel like I'm expecting that. So again, I'm just going with it with an open mind and just gonna have fun with it. I think it's like a super cute story still, and I'm just gonna enjoy it. So yeah, something I do want to say now is that I hated the third book. Like I mentioned a little earlier, I just thought third book was just terrible. And not that it was like terrible writing, like the storyline, I was just like, what? Belly and Jeremiah just drove me crazy. Honestly, it was just them two. They were driving me crazy throughout the book, that I was like, no, Laurel has a point, why are we villainizing her? They were just driving me crazy the whole time, and I just felt like the ending of the book series as a whole needed to end it a little like better. I feel like it got wrapped up really quickly, and I feel like I wish I had more time with like Belly and Conrad, you know? At the end of the day, we were robbed of a lot more of Conrad and Belly in the book, because if you think about it, in the second book is when the fallout happens, which everyone's waiting for in the second season, and then we have her just kind of not having her feels, you know, there. And in the third book, she's with Jeremiah, which again, spoilers, she's with Jeremiah, and then it just wraps up quickly, and then it goes back to Conrad. I don't know, I wish I had more time of them being together and like actually being happy, you know? Going back to second season predictions, they should have more stuff with her and Jeremiah as well, because actually, again, maybe going back to the book too, I didn't really like how they ended up together. It also seemed very quick and rushed in the book, so hopefully that's all fixed in the series. So yeah, I'm hoping all of that for the series. I'm excited to watch it. That is it for my little recap and my thoughts. Let me know down below if you guys have seen The Summer I Turned Pretty. Have you guys read the books, or did you solely watch the TV show? Because I've actually seen both, like on social media. There's people who read the book and saw the show, but there's people who have solely seen the show and haven't read the books, and I think that's so interesting. So let me know what your thoughts are down below, what you thought about the story. Did you even know it was a book? All of that stuff. Did you read both? Do you prefer the book? Do you prefer the series? Do you think the series was actually pretty well? But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree with me? All of that stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys like these type of videos. I definitely enjoy doing them. Again, I haven't done one since like 2020, so if you guys enjoy them, I'll probably do a lot more. Let me know any recommendations down below as well if you guys want me to talk about something. Guys, I just watched Succession, and like, that is the greatest show ever. Like, I wish I can delete my brain so I can rewatch it again for the first time. Like, that show was so good. My sister and I are also currently watching Seventh Heaven, which obviously was going viral because of its insane storylines, and y'all, it's true, like, this show is whack. I'm so hooked because you just never know what's gonna happen in this show. So maybe I'll do a video on Seventh Heaven. I'm also been watching One Tree Hill again because I love that show, and that show is also pretty unhinged. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to hear me talk about more shows. I had actually previously wanted to do a video on One Tree Hill, specifically on Peyton, because I feel like they throw so much stuff on Peyton. She gets the most intense storylines. And actually, someone I follow here on YouTube, her name's Daisy. Shout out Daisy. She actually mentioned their podcast. The main three girls from One Tree Hill have a podcast together, and I started listening to it, and Hillary Burden, who plays Peyton, actually mentions this in one of the podcasts, that she's like, yeah, they made Peyton a trash can and gave her like the most intense storylines and never had her go to therapy. And I was like, yeah, that is true. So yeah, I definitely want to talk about, maybe I'll talk about One Tree Hill soon. So let me know what you guys want to hear or see down below. I would love to talk about anything. I love talking about TV shows, honestly. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to keep up with these type of videos. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!